You're listening to the BNI Effect, the podcast for Brisbane entrepreneurs who believe in givers gain. I'm Tony Meredith, and ordinarily I'm a business coach who specialises in sales and leadership, but today I'm your host and fellow BNI member. In this episode, I chat with another Brisbane BNI member to explore their biggest wins, biggest lessons, and how you can get the most out of your BNI membership. This episode is number 112, and today's guest is Navin Chandra from Image Property. Navin, welcome, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, thank you. Given it's a BNI podcast, let's kick it off and chat about what is the best referral you've either given or received.
Yeah, so the best referral I gave was actually an indirect one. I wasn't aware initially. So I invited a visitor who connected with the handyman in my chapter, and I knew of that at that time, and it led to a small job. I then had to leave BNI and come back to it 3 years later. And when I did, I met the handyman again, and he informed me that he had been working with this person for the past 3 years. So it had given him 3 years of solid work, which, yeah, I was really stoked to hear that.
That's incredible. That's a wonderful example. You said you've had a couple of bites at BNI. So when did you first discover BNI?
First time I discovered BNI was about 4 years ago. I had just left teaching. I was trying photography as a business, and I joined BNI as a photographer.
Okay, and what prompted you to join first up?
So funny story, because I was actually at the West End markets. I had a store there with all my photos displayed, and Andrea, who you interviewed, I think a couple of episodes ago, before, she was doing her grocery shopping, and she waltzed into my kind of stall and said, "Hey, whereabouts are you based? You probably benefit from a networking kind of a meeting." And at that time, I was like, "Okay, interesting. Don't know what this is all about." But I gave it a shot. And when I told her I was kind of based in Springfield, she put me in touch with Lisa. And within, I think, 2 weeks, I was visiting my first BNI meeting.
Wow. And so you started off in photography, you were saying, and then you left for a few years and then came back in. What prompted the return?
Yeah, look, I think I wasn't sure if photography was going to be the long-term solution or career-wise. So I had been teaching for 10 years, and I was, I think, itching for a change. And photography had always been a hobby for me. So naturally, I thought, okay, that's the next phase. But I think through BNI, actually, it helped me realize that maybe it's probably not the best fit. Yeah, so after a year, I had to leave, and I joined real estate, and obviously the seat was taken where I was. So I had to leave BNI.
Okay, so decided for a career change, got into real estate, and then decided to come back into BNI. So how was that first meeting back after a few years away?
It was interesting. I was actually part of a few other startup chapters as well. So after I left Catalyst in Springfield, I was part of a startup chapter in Acacia Ridge, which moved to Wong, which is now Ambition in Kenmore. And I pretty much, Lisa kept knocking on my door, and I said, "Look, I think I've tried a few chapters now. I service the Greater Springfield region, so it only makes sense for me to find a chapter that is local to the area." And lo and behold, the opportunity came knocking on my door, and this was 7, 8 months ago now. Um, and yeah, it was great. I had visited a few times prior, missed out on the seat a few times again, and then yeah, the seat opened up again, and I was like, yeah, I'm going in.
Good on you. Okay, so 7 or 8 months ago, back into BNI. How long into BNI, your BNI journey, Nuven, did you realise that BNI was going to be for you?
Look, to be honest, I'd say it took me a wee while, and it's a mix of things. Just because first and foremost, when I was there as a photographer in BNI, I didn't understand BNI fully, and I was there for the business. I was there for the business. I was struggling to try and get the photography business going, and from that, pet photography is such a niche. It's hard to get to get referrals and all those things. So from that side of things, I don't think I saw the value in BNI. And it's only when I stepped away from BNI, and through all the conversations I had with the people in the group, my one-to-ones, it helped me realize that I had to pivot, change course with my career. And when I stepped away and I was no longer attending weekly meetings, and I was kind of left to my own devices, it was then that I realized a part of me had kind of was missing. And as someone who was traversing the business world, I would say alone, I was, I guess, yearning to be back, to be part of a network, talking to people who walked the walk with me.
You said that early on you didn't fully understand about BNI. What was the bit that you didn't understand?
Look, I think, well, with it comes down to givers gain, right? It's how you apply yourself and understanding that BNI will first and foremost work if you're there to give. But I was too caught up in my head. I was too focused on trying to get my business going, and I was turning up. I would turn up every week. I would do the one-to-ones, but I was just ticking boxes. I wasn't really there focused on everyone else. I was focused on myself, and that's why it didn't work. And also one of the things when the opportunity came back up to join Advance in Springfield, I had to ask myself if I was going to give it a proper shot, because if I wasn't, if I was just there to tick boxes, then it wasn't going to work.
So clearly you're giving it a proper shot this time round, hey?
Yeah, 100%, yes.
Good on you. So just on that, I mean, what is it that you're consistently doing that brings you results in BNI?
Um, well, the first thing is to show up, right? And so Derek Burden, who you interviewed a couple of, I think, weeks back, he pretty much did a education session once, and it pretty much is doing the small things well and how you gain credibility and how you lose credibility. And we always think of it as one big thing that knocks the credibility out, but it's not really that. It's doing the small things consistently well, because at the end of the day, it's a reflection of me as a person. It's a reflection of how I conduct my business. And the second thing would be to make a concerted effort towards givers gain. Yeah, and when I say givers gain, it's not just giving in terms of referrals, but in terms of energy, in terms of time, taking up membership positions, all those things.
So on the flip side, what are some mistakes that you see some members make that holds them back from having success in BNI?
So I heard this on an Instagram reel a while back, and it's just because you're in a network doesn't mean you're network worthy. And I think one thing people who sometimes some people join BNI and assume that just because I'm in the network now, everything's going to happen. And I was a perfect classic example of that. I was part of the first chapter that I was in, and I was doing all the things. I was showing up, but I wasn't actively focused on the givers gain side of things. And that's where I realized I had to change the way I saw things, and I had to be network worthy. People need to want to network with me, and it starts with giving.
Powerful. Let's change gears and let's have a chat about your business. So, Image Property. Give us an overview of what it is that you do, the services that you provide.
Yeah, so I'm a residential real estate agent, and I think it's as simply put, I sell real estate in Brisbane and surrounds, and sell everything from acreage to stock standard homes, your cookie cutter homes, units, townhouses, all of that. I sell via auction, I sell via private treaty, so I'm quite well versed with all methods of selling.
Plenty of real estate agents out there. What makes you different to them, Navin?
So my basically I deal with clients directly. It's basically me in the business. I don't have an associate or anything like that. So if someone calls me right from the start till the end, it's me all the way. I also like to spend a lot of time with my clients as well. I much like to sit down with them and go through stuff with them in person. I feel like that's starting to get lost in today's world. Everything's done via text and not even calls anymore. It's all text and emails. So I like to add the human element to it.
And what's a common problem that your clients face and how do you solve it for them?
Generally, with real estate, the three pain points. So clients want to know when do they sell, how to achieve the best possible price, and which agent to go with. Because obviously, as you said earlier, there's so many agents out there. So pretty much, I solve these three through a thorough understanding of the client situation. Firstly, one of the things BNI has taught me to pay attention to is people are planning, bragging, or complaining. and it helps me to put them in touch with the right people through my BNI network as well. So sometimes it's not even about me solving the problem, but it's me helping them to solve the problem through my connections.
So solving their problem. And like you said, being a connector with all of your colleagues in BNI. I love it. Um,
Exactly, yeah.
so who's an ideal referral for you right now?
Um, that's an easy one. Anyone who owns a property within 30 minutes of Springfield and would like to have a chat regarding their property plans, yeah.
Outstanding. So if you're listening or watching and you're one of those people, please reach out to Navin. Let's change gears again. Let's play a word association game. So I'm going to say a word and I'm looking for your immediate response. Networking,
Like common sense.
referrals,
Give first and you shall receive.
success,
Effort
coffee,
signals the start of my day.
giver's gain,
It just works.
sport.
Football, soccer, football.
Yeah, okay. Team.
Manchester United,
Okay. BNI.
more than just a business network.
Amazing. Thanks, Navin. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who wants to grow their business through networking, specifically BNI networking, what would that advice be?
Visit a couple of chapters and give it a proper shot. Yeah.
Excellent. What's one exciting thing that's happening in your business right now that you'd like the listeners or the viewers to know about?
To be honest, I've got nothing exciting. I'm just keeping my head down, doing the work, focus on progression. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. That's the one percenters that you talked about a little bit earlier. Just doing the simple things, but doing them incredibly well. So well done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Navin, how can listeners learn more about your business or get in touch with you?
Yeah. So, as with any real estate agent, my details are plastered all over the web. So give me a ring. I'm happy to do a one-to-one. Otherwise, yeah, stalk me online on social media.
Outstanding. Thanks, Navin. Well, look, that wraps up another episode of the BNI Effect. Many thanks to today's guest, Navin Chandra, for sharing with us his insights and showing us what's possible in BNI. If you're a BNI member, perhaps there's an idea that Navin shared that you can implement over the next week. And if you're a visitor to BNI, I hope you've seen how powerful this community really can be. Subscribe to hear or view more real stories from Brisbane BNI members. And until next time, give more, trust more, grow more.